Welcome to the channel again. Today, a true story of hope, perseverance, and new beginnings. What you're about to hear is the authentic journey of a family who, like millions around the world, dared to dream of a new life in America through the Diversity Visa Lottery program. So join us now as we retrace this family's journey from the moment they clicked Submit on their application in October 2023 to their first steps on American soil in February 2025. This is the American Dream Fulfilled, our true DV-2025 lottery journey from entry to new life. October 10th, 2023, a date that would change everything for the Nadims. In their small apartment in Amman, Jordan, Yassin Nadim sat at his computer, his wife Amira looking over his shoulder, while their two children, Layla and Omar, played nearby. Yassin's fingers hovered over the keyboard. "Are you sure about this?" Amira asked, squeezing his shoulder. Yassin nodded. "We've talked about this for years. It's time to try." With a deep breath, he carefully filled out the Diversity Visa Lottery application form. Name, date of birth, country of birth, education level. Then came the photographs. "Everyone, come here," Yassin called to his family. "We need photos for the application." They gathered by the plain white wall in their living room. Amira smoothed Layla's hair while Omar straightened his collar. Yassin propped his iPhone against a stack of books on the table, setting the timer. "Remember, look straight at the camera, no smiling," he instructed as he rushed to join them. It took several attempts to get acceptable photos for everyone. Shoulders straight, eyes open, neutral expressions. Finally satisfied, Yassin uploaded the images and triple-checked every detail before submitting the application for himself and his family. "Now we wait," he said, as the confirmation page appeared on the screen. But waiting wasn't easy. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The Nadims continued their daily routines. Yassin teaching mathematics at the local university, Amira running her small bakery, the children attending school. But the possibility of a new life in America lingered in their thoughts. "What if we actually win?" Layla, their 12-year-old daughter, would ask occasionally. "Then we'll have a big adventure," Yassin would reply, even as doubts crept into his own mind. The odds were so slim. Millions of applications for only 55,000 visas. May 4th, 2024. Yassin woke up early, his heart pounding. Results day. He tried to go about his morning normally, making coffee, preparing breakfast. But by 8 a.m., he couldn't wait any longer. With trembling hands, he entered his confirmation number on the DV Lottery Results website. The screen loaded, and then, based on the information provided, you have been randomly selected for further processing in the Diversity Immigrant Visa program. Yassin stared at the screen in disbelief. He read the message again, and again. "Amira!" he finally called out, his voice cracking. "Amira, come here!" She rushed in, alarmed. "What's wrong?" "We won," he whispered, pointing at the screen. "We actually won the lottery." They embraced, tears streaming down their faces, as the children ran in to see what the commotion was about. Soon, the whole family was hugging, jumping, crying with joy. But winning the lottery was only the beginning. "We have to submit more forms," Yassin explained to his family that evening, "and there's still no guarantee we'll get visas. This is just the first step." On May 10th, 2024, exactly 1 week after discovering they'd been selected, the Nadims sat down to submit their DS-260 immigrant visa applications online. Every question needed precise answers: employment history, education, family information, addresses where they had lived. As they worked through Amira's educational history section, she paused, anxiety washing over her face. "What's wrong?" Yassin asked. "The form asks specifically about high school diploma," she whispered. "I never completed the traditional high school certificate. I went directly to the specialized business high diploma program, then my bachelor's degree." They stared at the screen, a new worry emerging. The DV lottery requirements clearly stated that applicants must have either a high school education or qualifying work experience. "But you have more than high school education," Yassin reasoned. "You have your business administration high diploma and your bachelor's degree." What if they reject us because of this technicality? Amira's voice trembled. After researching online forums and consulting with a friend who had emigrated years earlier, they decided to honestly list her actual educational qualifications. Amira would explain during the interview, if necessary. It took hours to complete all 4 applications with this new concern weighing on their minds. Now we wait again, Amira sighed, her confidence shaken. The summer and fall passed in a blur of anticipation and preparation. Yasin researched American cities, looking for places with good schools and universities. Amira quietly began selling some of their possessions, just in case. The children practiced their English diligently. When will we know? Omar, their 9-year-old son, would ask almost daily. When it's our turn, Yasin would reply, though he constantly checked his email, hoping for news from the KCC. December 12th, 2024. Yasin was grading papers when his phone pinged with an email notification. Subject, interview scheduling. 2025 DV-000 XXXXX. His heart raced as he opened it. The 2NL, the second notification letter. They had been scheduled for an interview at the U.S. Embassy in Amman on January the 15th, 2025. It's happening, he told Amira that night after the children were asleep. It's really happening. The next month was a whirlwind of gathering documents. Birth certificates, marriage certificates, police clearances, academic credentials, medical examinations. Their apartment became a sea of paperwork. What if they reject us at the interview? Amira whispered one night. Then we continue our life here, Yasin answered, holding her close. But let's focus on being prepared. January 15th, 2025, the day of reckoning. The Nadim family arrived at the U.S. Embassy at 7 a.m. sharp, dressed in their finest clothes. Even the normally fidgety Omar sat quietly on the bench outside the embassy gates, understanding the gravity of the day. The early morning air was crisp, and they weren't the only ones waiting. Several other families and individuals stood or sat nearby, clutching folders of documents. How much longer? Whispered Layla, rubbing her hands together for warmth. Soon, Yasin assured her, checking his watch for the 10th time. They waited for nearly 2 hours, making small talk with other visa applicants, until at 8:45 a.m., a security guard emerged and announced it was time to line up and enter the embassy. The Nadims joined the orderly queue, hearts pounding. At the entrance, they went through a thorough security check. Bags x-rayed, bodies scanned, documents inspected. After clearing security, a guard directed them to proceed inside the main building. Follow the signs to immigrant visa processing, he instructed. Inside, they took number tickets and found seats in a large waiting room. Their number was eventually called. They entered the interview room. The consular officer was a middle-aged woman with kind but piercing eyes. She reviewed their documents methodically, asking questions about Yasin's work and their reasons for wanting to move to America. Then she turned to Amira. I see you've listed a high diploma in business administration and a bachelor's degree, but no traditional high school diploma. Can you explain your educational path? Amira's heart raced. This was the moment she had feared for months. In my country, she began, her voice barely steady, I was accepted into a specialized business program after completing my basic education. It's a high diploma, which is equivalent to a high school education plus specialized training. I then continued to university for my bachelor's degree. The officer frowned slightly, reviewing the documents again. The requirement is for a high school education or equivalent. Do you have any documentation that shows your business diploma is equivalent to completing high school? Yasin gently placed their education ministry's certification of equivalency on the counter, which they had obtained specifically for this interview. The officer studied it, then looked up at Amira again. So you never completed the standard high school curriculum? No, Amira admitted, but my business diploma required more academic credits than a standard high school diploma, and it qualified me for university admission. There was a tense silence as the officer made notes. The children sensed their mother's anxiety, and Omar reached for her hand. After what felt like an eternity, the officer nodded. I can see your business high diploma meets the educational requirement, she said finally. Your bachelor's degree further supports your qualifications. Amira exhaled slowly, relief washing over her. The officer continued with a few more standard questions, then smiled. "Your visas are approved," she said. "Welcome to America." Outside the embassy, Layla twirled in circles. "We're going to America! We're going to America!" Omar jumped up and down. "Can we see the Golden Gate Bridge? And the White House? And Disney World?" Yassine and Amira exchanged glances, both overwhelmed with emotions. Joy, relief, anxiety about the unknown future. The next few weeks were a blur of farewells, selling their remaining possessions, canceling leases, and packing what little they would take with them. Friends hosted goodbye parties. Relatives offered tearful good wishes. February 20th, 2025, the day of departure. At Queen Aaliyah International Airport, the Nadims checked in for their flight to New York, each carrying just 2 suitcases of belongings. Yassine held their yellow sealed envelopes containing their immigration documents close to his chest. "Are we really doing this?" Amira asked, her voice barely audible above the airport noise. Yassine looked at his family, at Amira, his partner of 15 years, at Layla, so bright and curious about the world, at Omar, brave despite his fears. "Yes," he said firmly, "together." The flight was long. The children watched movies while Yassine and Amira dozed fitfully, their minds racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. Finally, the plane began its descent into JFK International Airport. The captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to New York. Local time is 4:15 p.m. and the temperature is 36 degrees Fahrenheit." Yassine looked out the window at the sprawling cityscape below. A new world, a new beginning. At immigration, they presented their sealed envelopes. The officer opened them, processed their documents, took their fingerprints. "Congratulations," he said, stamping their passports. "You are now lawful permanent residents of the United States of America." As they exited into the arrivals hall, Yassine paused and gathered his family close. "Remember this moment," he told them. "This is where our American story begins." Outside, snow was falling, the first snow the children had ever seen. They laughed, catching flakes on their tongues, while Yassine and Amira watched, their hearts full. One journey had ended, another was just beginning. But whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The Nadims, a new American family,